This Brewers lecture is supported by Simply Hops. Simply Hops is set up to supply hops to the highest quality independent brewers. We focus only on hops and natural hop products. As part of the Bathhouse Group, we secure the best quality products from the major hop growing regions, investing in new and interesting varieties that will give brewers the edge when it comes to brewing. The Simply Hops team that you deal with will be either experienced brewers, highly trained technicians from the world's leading universities, or both. So, from us, you will only get the best possible product, the best possible service, and the best advice.
Thank you. Welcome everybody to this presentation, and thank you first of all to the Brewers Journal for inviting us and for taking care of all of this. The topic I choose for today's lecture is the hop market and the latest hop product developments. And I want to talk today about how crop 2015 was, how is crop 2016, and what can we do this year that we, according to our expectations, and also according to the new hop products that we have in the industry. So first of all, many of you have last year already heard you are not getting all your hops, or you haven't been able to find all the hops that you wanted to find in the spot market, and this is because a big reason we had a disaster crop in 2015. It was not just in one region, but in all of the main regions producing hops. There was a disaster crop in Central Europe. Due to the bad weather conditions, it was too hot and it did not rain a lot, which the hops do not like at all. And this had a dramatic deficit with aroma varieties such as, for example, Saaz and Spalta Select, but also a strong deficit with some other aroma varieties like Pearly and Tradition. In the US, we found in the other way just an average crop. However, this was not in pace with the craft sector growth, due to the big amount of IPAs and the big amount of hops used for them. And there was also some disappointing crops for some flavor varieties, such as, for example, Centennial and Chinook, which make a lot of pressure in the industry. And also, the last one was in Australia. We had also bad weather conditions. We had a hail coming through the fields and breaking all the plants before they will develop. So we could neither find all the hops that the industry was needing. So all these facts had a conclusion, and there was a reduction of the stocks of high alpha hops, which accumulated over the years because we were not able to supply the hops from 2015 that were in contract. We had to sell from other years. There was also a reduction of the contracted volumes, mainly in varieties such as Saaz, for example, with a reduction of around 50%. And these two facts had the consequence that some varieties were not available at all in the spot market for those brewers who do not have contracts done yet. So how is it looking nowadays? How was crop 2016? This chart shows you the world acreage and the crop yield over the last years from 2008. And as you can see, both of them decreased until 2013. The acreage much more than the production. But then from 2013, we began to grow more hops and produce more hops. And you can see how over the years we have achieved this year around 55,000 hectares of cultivated hops. You can see, however, also here that although in 2015 we have much higher surface of cultivation, area of cultivation of hops, we have really low production due to these conditions that I mentioned before. However, the two main regions growing hops are the same as before, the US and Germany, making about 72.5% of the worldwide hectare, followed by Czech Republic. And right now, this year and last year, the US increased in production compared to the one in Germany. But before it was the other way around. Before it was Germany being the main producer of hops and followed by the US. So you can see here 2015, it was much higher in the US because of these weather conditions. And this year is still much higher in the US because of one reason: the US increased their cultivation area, whereas Germany did not increase as much as the US. But it's really interesting how things are changing right now in the US. There is a dramatic shift from alpha varieties to aroma varieties growing in the US. And here you can see the values of the Pacific Northwest states, which are Washington, D.C. and Oregon. There is, of course, many other places where hops are grown, but these are the main producers. And from 2009, 2010, the US were producing mainly high alpha varieties, roughly about 70%, whereas the production of aroma varieties was 30%. And over the last years, these have shifted toward aroma varieties, being now 78% of aroma varieties and about 22% of high alpha varieties. And the main reason for this is because the growers get much more money for the aroma varieties than for the high alpha varieties, which is reasonable why they are changing. And we see also these things in each of the varieties that they grow. You can see here the main growing varieties in the States, and you see how a couple of years ago, 2012, the main variety growing in the US was CTZ, which is a high alpha variety. And over the last 5 years, these have changed, and right now is Cascade and Centennial are the main growing varieties, and all of the aroma varieties are increasing, such as Sidra, Simcoe, Chinook, and all the high alpha varieties are decreasing, as you can see, Summit, Nugget, and CTZ. So all of this had an influence on how the crop 2016 was, and the most important fact was that there was an increase on the acreage from 2015 to 2016, mainly in the US with 17%, but also in Germany with 4%. In Germany was done through the increase in acreage of Hercules, but also flavor hops, because the German growers are not stupid, and they thought, okay, if the American growers get more money from aroma hops, we want also more money, so we increase the production of flavor hops, such as, for example, Mandarina Bavaria here. In the US, as you saw before, the increase was mainly done by aroma varieties, and also a decrease on the high alpha varieties. So according to all of these facts, what can we say about crop 2016? Crop 2016 has been great. All the harvested volumes seem to be fine, so we are going to be able to fulfill all the contracts. Most varieties are going to be available in the spot market, except for some German ones like Tettnanger, Sapphire, or Select. And the alpha content seems to be in average to what we expect from year to year. So now that we say, I like to call this year a prosperity year. 2016 is a prosperity year. We have plenty of hops. So now is the time for you brewers to develop new recipes, develop new beers, new products to offer to your customers. But also, and that's the point where I want to encourage you, to look for substitution of hops for those recipes that you are already brewing. Because if in a couple of years' time we have the same problem and we have a bad crop, or you cannot get your variety, or you cannot get your hop for any other reason, you have done now your research, your investigations, and you know which variety you can substitute for which other variety. And I want to show you how you can do this now, because now is the time. You can, for example, try to substitute the hop varieties that you use in your brews by looking at other varieties, which are already available in the market. And how do you do this? There is a lot of literature. I put here our literature, but for sure every supplier has their own information, where you can see the aroma perception of each variety, compared to the ones that you use, and make a selection of different varieties according to this perception. Important to know is that there is no one substitution from one variety to the other one. All hops are different, so probably you will end up making a blend and substituting one variety for this blend, for example. Then after that, you have to do some analysis. Rubbing and sniffing is always really helpful. I mean, you guys are always in contact with hops, so you know your hops, you know your brew, and you are going to be able to at least separate which ones are good for you or not. Then if you have the possibility, which will be ideal, doing some pouring trials. If not, you can do some dry hopping in situ with a French press, or trying to extract the aromas from the hop into your beer in any way, and then in the end doing some larger scale brewing trials. And I got here some samples of hops. So I may just give them and you give them around, pass them through. I have here, for example, Cascade US and German Cascade. It's really nice to compare them. It's exactly the same variety, but growing in 2 different regions, so you can compare them. I have also here an Australian hop, which is Ella. It's really nice, really floral notes. Amazing as all the Australian hops. And the last one for now will be Summit. Summit has really vegetal notes, garlic, onion, but if you know how to use it, you can get really fruity flavors in your brew, so it's really nice to give it a try. Another thing that you can do right now is also look for blends. As I say, you cannot substitute one hop for another one. So looking for blends that either you can do yourself, or we, for example, have some blends that we have prepared, either to substitute a hop or to aim for a defined aroma perception. For example, we have yellow sap. Yellow sap was created to substitute Amarillo because we had really bad samples of Amarillo. There was a lot of difference depending on where they came from, or there was a lot of variability from one year to the other one, and we decided to create a blend called yellow sap, which is always constant. We check it every year, and then you can, instead of adding Amarillo, you can use yellow sap. The other variety blend that we have will be TNT. TNT does not aim to substitute any hop. It just aims for a tropical fruit aroma, so a lot of maracuja, mango aromas, really nice also, and I have it here. Next time I have to bring some scissors. And the last one will be Fantasia. Fantasia, it's a blend of hops also, and this one aims for an apricot or peach aroma. So you can also use this to try to substitute your hops, or maybe to create some new recipes, whatever you think it's perfect. You can also look at different products. You don't have to use always pellets or cones. You can also use all other products that there are available in the hop industry. And I put here this diagram. I'm not going to go through it. Unless you want later, we can talk about it. But of course, you have different products. I just pick up some of them to show them to you, and also with some samples. Some of them alternatives for bittering. Where can you substitute your bittering hops will be, for example, with CO2 extract. CO2 extract is just we extract the important brewing ingredients from the pellets, the alpha acids, the beta acids, the hop oils, and we do a concentrated product. It looks like this. I will pass it also through. You can open it, you can smell it. It has been in my desk for like 3 months, so don't judge the aroma. But so that you see, I think it's really interesting to see for the consistency of the product. It's like honey or even thicker than honey. Please don't try it. I don't want any consequences. So this product, it's really stable. It's totally natural. The utilization is really similar to the one that you have by using pellets or cones. And one of the most important things for me is that by extraction with CO2, you can reduce the levels of undesirable components, for example, nitrates and pesticides. So just, you can pass it through. The next one, another product to change your bittering addition of hops will be isohop. Isohop is CO2 extract where we extracted the alpha acid, the isomerized alpha acid. So this is pure iso-alpha acid. It is a really stable product and also homogeneous in compared to pellets or with hop cones. It's not like stable, of course, but none of your pellets or your cones is neither. And the great advantage of this is that it has a really high utilization. So if you add 100 grams, let's say, you will get in your beer 85 grams, compared to the pellets where it's just about 30 to 40%. And it's normally used to correct the bitterness of your beer. For example, if you aim for 50 bitter units and then you brew your beer and you find you have just 40, you can add this and increase this 10 bitter units. Another products that I want to show you are alternatives for aroma. We have different categories. For example, we have the PHA Classics, Top Notes, and the Elevate. Elevate are a new hop product range that we developed just a couple of weeks ago. The difference between them is what it can impart to the beer. For example, the PHA Classics, they are single hop oil fractions which have just one aroma perception, like citrusy, spicy, floral, something like that. Then we have the Top Notes, which are from one single variety, and they give more like a dry hopping aroma. And the last one will be the Elevates, which are also hop oil fractions from one single variety, but they give more like a late hop aroma. So I have here 3 Top Notes. You can open them. Another product to change your aroma or to aim for aroma perception will be a new product range that we have developed also a couple of weeks ago, and these are the natural additions. Natural additions are a hop oil with something else, and this something else is from a natural source. For example, we have a natural addition coriander, which is hop oil with coriander oil, and that's it. So we have a couple of them. We have bergamot, coconut, coriander, grapefruit, honey, tropical, blood orange, smoke, and tangerine. So they are really nice. Of course, this is something different. It's not where you are going to have a strong aroma, hop aroma impact in your beer. They are more these other natural additions aroma that you can impart to your beer. So a couple of them. I think that's the whole range, so that's great. So, and we have also other products for other applications. Many of you have seen this before in their brewery, unfortunately, and it's not fun. So, during fermentation, there is a buildup of foam in the fermentation tanks, and depending on how full the tanks are, it can come over the top of the tank. So we have developed a product called Hop Anti-Foam. This is designed to reduce the foam during the fermentation in the fermentation vessel. It's 100% made out of hops. And what you can achieve with this is just to fill up your fermentation vessel more than without Hop Anti-Foam. And you can see it here at the right and at the left side. One of them is with Hop Anti-Foam and the other one is without Hop Anti-Foam. Similarly to this, we have another product called LipoHop Hay, which is made of the same key ingredients. This one is for the kettle. So you add it to the kettle and you avoid this foam that builds up while you are boiling. The next product will be BBC pellets. The BBC pellets are called like that because we did it in collaboration with the Boston Beer Company in the States. And they have this big problem where they are dry hopping. They had a lot of losses, beer losses, and they did not achieve the aroma perception that they wanted. So we create this type of pellets, which where we have removed the coarse fraction of the millet hops. And with that, we can achieve higher sensory perception of some attributes. For example, here we brew 2 beers, both of them the same way. One with pellets, one with BBC pellets type 90, the other one with BBC pellets. And as you can see, we had an increase of the floral, sweet fruits, notes, citrus, and grapefruit, which is really nice. And then the last step, when I finish with this, will be to look for new varieties, of course, and I want to show you some of the last varieties that we had this year. Coming from Germany, we had Ariana, which is a new type of hop with a lot of red berry notes, really nice, a little bit more closer to the American hops, although it comes from Germany. So really intense in the aroma. Similar to this, we have Calista also, a lot of fruity notes. And also coming from Germany. I mean, if you want some information about these things, I can give it to you later. Just for me, it's important that you smell them and see what they can. And then coming from the US, we have a new variety called Laurel. Laurel is not a typical American variety. It's more like a super noble hop, which will be more closer to a German or Central Europe hop with a lot of floral notes, of course. You can pick that from the name. And the last one will be HPC 431. This is an amazing hop. We had the possibility to brew with it in paddock wood, and it also in the rubbing and sniffing has a lot of earthy notes and tobacco-y notes. When you brew, you can achieve a lot of tropical fruit notes, which is really amazing. Have you tried?
Yeah.
I'm really happy.
Yeah.
It's really cool. And if none of this work, or if you have any questions, we have an amazing technical support team. So you can send us an email, or I don't know, if you find us in the subway, just come to us. It's no problem. And just thank you very much for your attention. And if you have any questions, just let me know. All the hops that are running around, you can take them. I just need the seal to extract the hop identifum and the isohop back.